In this episode, I'm going to show you how I made some Fenrisian wolves for Space Wolves. It's a conversion, and here's the final product. So what you see here is a Fenrisian wolf that's based on a Warhammer Fantasy dire wolf, as well as a Goblin Wolf Rider champion head. And then I did a little bit here to fill in the fleshy bits. Now I'm not going to show you the painting quite in the same way, but there's a couple little bits on the helmet that are done in gold, and that's the tin bits, dwarf bronze, bronze gold kind of a look. The armor I did with my Space Wolf kind of colors, and that's the Reaper, Midnight Blue, Twilight Blue, Shadow, Snow Shadow triad, as well as a little bit of Ghost White. You can use whatever Space Wolf combination you're doing for the rest of your army to match. And then for the fur, I just use a standard Space Wolf fur that I use, and that's just the Scorched Brown, Beastal Brown, and Bubonic Brown with a little bit of bleach bone. And basically working from the top of the back, it's going to be mostly Scorched Brown, right down to the underside of things is going to be a bit more bleach bone. And you'll see what that looks like as I go through. So I tried two techniques here. I acquired these dire wolves in a trade, and so they're already spray painted up, and some of them are already on bases, so that's why that is. But I rolled out some green stuff here and tried putting that on the base, on the back there, and just spreading it out as far as I can and as thin as I can, and then with a bit of a toothpick or a sculpting tool of some sort, just try to give it a bit of a fur texture. And I did that on a couple of them. So there's mixing up some green stuff and then trying to wrap things out. So this was the hard way of doing it. I didn't end up doing most of them this way, but this did work. I just wasn't quite as happy with the results. Yeah, this one here kind of looked, the fur looked a bit too heavy looking and a bit more bushy than I wanted. But not too hard to do that, and yeah. So here's one of the champion heads. So this comes from a Goblin sprue. So if you have just regular Goblin boys for Warhammer Fantasy, you get one of these on every sprue, or every set of sprues, and or if you have Goblin Wolf Riders, and you might be able to find these on eBay or trade with somebody at your local club. So the idea here is you chop the head just a little bit, and you chop the head off the dire wolf, and little green stuff in here, and Bob's your uncle. You've got a Fenrisian wolf. So here's kind of how I chopped it off. Just a bunch of plastic cutters, and it doesn't have to be that accurate. Just want a nice flat surface to try to glue against, and I'm just going to fill in the outside with some green stuff. So this one here is going to kind of chop off this part and glue it right on. So you can see I chopped there, and some of the ears on these dire wolves need to be trimmed, and obviously it's not a great fit there, but a little bit of green stuff, and that's actually the easiest part, filling that with green stuff. Okay, so there's chopping that top part off, and how it you kind of try to fit it together as best you can. Now, what I'm going to show you is these backs here. The other technique that I used was Liquitex Gloss Heavy Gel Medium. So you may have seen me talk about gel medium with resin sand before. Well, this is the same idea but without the sand. So it's like a, hard to explain, maybe a toothpaste or thicker consistency, and you can see it there. So I just scoop it out with a bit of a toothpick or a sculpting tool, and so here I'm using I think this is the end of an old paintbrush, it might be a sculpting tool, and just spreading it on there, just trying to give it a sort of an even coat, and then I'm just going to use like a toothpick or something similar just to give it a bit of a texture like this. Now I know that this stuff shrinks a little bit when it dries, especially the top bits, so I'm just trying to give it a bit of a texture and then let's see how it dries. So these dire wolves have lots of bones and muscles sticking out, so I'm just trying to cover all that up and give it a kind of a even fur texture. And here's what it looked like when it was dry. I gave it a bit of a black paint there so you could see it, but it's just a little bit clear. And yeah, for tabletop quality, this is great. I also tried spray painting or airbrushing these a bit of a Beastal Brown type of a color just to see how that was going to look. And that's the green stuff version there. And that's another shot of the green stuff. That's also green stuff one. So I didn't do these legs here, but again, for tabletop level, this is more than adequate. And here's so I'm just rolling up a strip of green stuff here, and I'm going to put that around the head. So that's just going to go around here, and just kind of mush it in. And I'm going to use a toothpick just to give it a bit of a texture. And there you can see there, it's quite easy, and this is going to blend in really nicely. Especially once it's painted, you won't even notice. Actually, this connection here would probably be more obvious. And that's one of the ears from the dire wolf that I had to chop off, because there's an ear on the other head, so it doesn't need 4 ears. Okay, so these are the two I did with green stuff and kind of gave them a spray paint to see what they would look like. And then the rest of them here I did with that Liquitex gel medium, and I need to chop those off the bases and put them on some nice round bases, and we're good to go. So I've given everything a bit of a scorched brown, kind of a base coat, and now I'm going to start working up the browns from underneath. So you can see there, like I said, Beast Steel brown, then the Vermin brown, and bleached bone. You can pick whatever color combination you want, but that's what I've chosen for my Space Wolves, so all the wolf pelts have a similar kind of a look to them, as well as the guy on the big wolf. Drawing a blank right now. Anyways, you can see there, that's how this is all kind of done. Really kind of a sloppy paint job, but they painted up real fast, and these things are just cannon fodder anyways, so there you go. And I think I used a bit of Devlin mud maybe to blend things a bit more. Okay, and that's some of that texture on the bottom there was that gel medium. And then these top thing, the armor plate there, again, just the whatever Space Wolf colors you're using. I used that Reaper Midnight Blue Triad with a bit of Ghost or Snow White or Ghost White, I forget what it was. And these guys look pretty cool on the board. I've got a nice big pack of them. And maybe someday GW will make a model of it. But in the meantime, these work quite well. And Fantasy Dire Wolves, I think Canadian, they're about $30 for 10 of them. So $3 a model. That's a pretty good price for something for Space Wolves. So. And that's, see that, the green stuff there, a bit of a joint. Didn't do a good job there. And you can see it again. But tabletop quality, works well. Anyways, let me know what you think. Post comments below if you've done something similar. Maybe post your own article, and talk to you next time.